dripping, pooling, seconds clawing at the edges like beasts unchained, loose and cruel, shadows running faster than light. Was it the end or just the start? A loop or a fracture in the heart? The days when we counted a cent Scrape the edge of time. Dust falls, whispers climb. Breath of a clock too slow to die. A crack in the hourglass. Did you see it? A second spills like blood. Can't believe it. Tell me, is this how we survive? The seconds fight, the centuries bite. All the days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. All the days when we found it, a moment drowned in our deepest steel strings hum like shattered chains. Endless echoes, endless pain. Do you hear it or just pretend? Eyes wide shut, staring blind to the gears that grind the mind. Do we stop or let it bend? Fingers on strings, breathe fire tonight. Reds like storm shatter the quiet light. The clock ticks wrong, no rules, no time. a blessing or a curse. The sun sank slow behind the edge. A fleeting promise, an empty What did we build with hours that shattered? What truly mattered? The clock spins backward. Who's keeping score? A second breaks the earth, tears the core. One breath for lifetimes. One blink, no more. The days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. Time stretched, shattered through laughter and tears. The days, oh, the days. Fingers trace maps on the edge of a star. A universe of moments so near yet far. Each tick of the hands a breaking scar. Numbers lied, they told no truth. What's a second in the void of the days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. Time stretched, shattered through laughter and tears. The days, oh, the days. Metal strings scream in spirals and flames. Notes like knives cut through the veins. A melody of chaos, no one remains. Gravity shifts the rhythm inside. days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. A truth so heavy it drowns in tears. Ticking louder, ticking slow. A second stretches. Where does it go? Mountains rose, fell in the span of a sigh. Skies burned red, then bled into night. Fingers gripping sand, it slips through fast. A second and nearer, the future, the past. Wheels turn, gears grind. A clock's heart beating out of time. The days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. Shadows stretching, feeding fears. Second scream, the void replies. A moment eternal, it never dies. High winds howl in a spiral of sound. Echoes of seconds that can't be found. A second breaks the earth, tears the core. One breath for lifetime. one blink no more. The days when we counted a second longer than 100 years. Time stretched, shattered through laughter and tears. The days flowers that shatter what truly matters. Across the screaming sky, ticking hearts beating out of time, hands spinning backwards chasing a lie, a clock that marks the stars as they align, and the seconds they left like they knew the weight we carried. Days when we counted a second longer than 100 years, echoes drowned in the flood of fears. The day of sand stuck in the hourglass shadow, choking the throat of a ticking tomorrow. Where did the wind go? Where does it hide? Silent whispers scratch the inside. We used to measure time with our eyes. Now the stars fall too fast in the skies. The days when we counted a second longer than 100 years of aching hunger. We stretched the hours with broken hands. Now they shatter like brittle strands. Still rivers flow under neon skies. They hum a hymn of truth and lies. The earth spins slower, or maybe it's me, trapped in loops of eternity. We bent the clocks, but the minutes bled. Now the future